Lyra walked through the silent halls of the old research outpost with careful steps. The lights above her flickered like tired stars, and every sound she made echoed as if the building itself was listening. She worked as a helper here, doing small jobs like cleaning, carrying equipment, and checking old storage rooms. Most days were slow and quiet, but tonight felt different. Something in the air made her feel uneasy, like someone was watching her. The outpost was built on a lonely moon far from busy trade routes. Most of the staff only stayed here because they had nowhere else to go. People whispered that this place had secrets, but no one ever spoke about them openly. Everyone avoided one part of the outpost, the deep lower sector. Lyra had heard the warnings many times. Never go to Section 9, the engineers told her. People who go there never return, the guards whispered. She did not know if these stories were true, but every time she walked near the lower stairs she felt a cold shiver down her back. Still, she always wondered what was hidden down there. The signs on the gates were old, scratched, and covered in dust, almost like someone wanted people to forget that place existed. That night, as Lyra finished her shift, she heard something strange. It was soft, almost too quiet to notice. It sounded like a long breath or maybe a whisper drifting up from the deep corridors below. She stopped walking. The sound came again, low and sad, like someone was crying in the darkness. Her heart beat faster. She knew she should ignore it and leave like everyone else. But something inside her did not let her walk away. She felt a pull, a strange feeling pushing her toward the lower stairs. It was as if someone needed help. Lyra held her small light and slowly stepped down the old metal staircase. Each step groaned under her feet. The walls were cold and covered in strange marks she did not understand. She reached the bottom and saw a long hallway stretched in front of her. It was dark except for a single flickering red light at the far end. The soft sound came again. Without thinking too much, she followed it. As she walked, she noticed that the air felt heavier here. Almost like the room itself was holding its breath. She passed doors with thick locks and strange warning signs. Some warnings were faded, but she could still read words like danger, do not enter, and restricted. She reached a huge metal door at the end of the hallway. It was old, covered in dust, and sealed with 3 heavy locks. The door was so large it almost touched the ceiling. Something behind it moved, and Lyra stepped back in fear. For a moment she thought about running away. But then she remembered the sad sound. It was not angry or violent. It sounded lonely. Very lonely. Lyra placed her hand on the cold door. To her surprise, the door slowly responded. The locks clicked open one by one. She pulled the door and it slid open with a deep, slow rumble. Inside, the room was vast and dark. Her small light was barely enough to show anything. She stepped inside and waited for her eyes to adjust. That was when she saw it. A huge creature lay in the center of the chamber. It was chained to the ground by glowing metal restraints. The creature was shaped like a large dragon, long tail, sharp wings folded close, and scales that shimmered faintly in the light. But the dragon did not look dangerous. Its body looked thin and tired, as if it had not eaten in a very long time. The dragon lifted its head slowly and looked at Lyra. Its eyes were not wild or angry. They were calm, old, and full of deep sadness. For a moment, Lyra froze. She had never seen anything like this before. She expected the dragon to roar or attack, but instead, it simply watched her quietly. She felt her fear fade a little. Are you hurt?" she whispered, not sure if it understood her. The dragon did not speak, but it lowered its head as if answering yes. Lyra walked closer, only a few steps, staying careful. The glowing chains made a low humming sound. She noticed the dragon's claws were dull, and its scales had scratches from struggling against the restraints. This creature was not dangerous right now. It was suffering. She felt pain in her heart for it. No one ever came to this place. No one cared what was inside. But now she knew the truth. They had locked away something alive. Something that still breathed, still felt, and still hoped. The dragon's eyes closed for a moment, like it was waiting for her to leave. Maybe everyone who came before left it alone in darkness. But Lyra did not move. She whispered softly, "I will come back." The dragon's eyes opened again, and for a second she felt something warm and gentle pass between them. Not danger. Not fear. Something else. Lyra stepped out of the chamber, closed the door, and walked back through the dark hallway. Her mind was full of questions and her hands trembled slightly. She knew she should tell someone, but she also knew they would lock the place again and never let her return. She did not want to abandon the dragon. As she climbed the stairs back to the bright halls above, one thought stayed with her. Whatever that creature was, whatever happened in that forgotten chamber, it needed her. And she was the only one who had heard its silent cry. Lyra woke up early the next morning, but her mind was still trapped in the underground chamber. She kept thinking about the dragon's tired eyes and the soft sound it made when it saw her. She tried to follow her normal routine, but nothing felt normal anymore. Every tool she carried, every hallway she walked through, reminded her of the lonely creature hidden below everyone's feet. During lunch, she sat alone at a corner table. The other workers talked loudly about broken machines and supply delays, but Lyra barely heard them. She only thought about one thing. Was the dragon hungry? Was it still waiting? She pushed her tray away. She had a small bowl of soup left, simple vegetable soup, nothing special. But something inside her whispered that the dragon might need it more than she did. She hid the bowl inside her jacket and quietly slipped out of the dining area. No one noticed her leaving. Everyone was too busy with their own day. Lyra moved through the halls quickly but carefully, making sure no guard saw her heading toward the lower stairs. When she reached the top of the staircase, she paused. The air felt cold again, just like last night. The silence wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. She took a deep breath and started walking down. When she reached the bottom, the long hallway looked just as dark and empty as before. But this time she did not feel fear. She felt a strange sense of purpose. She followed the faint hum of the chains until she reached the massive door. Just like yesterday, she placed her hand on it and the old locks slowly clicked open. Inside, the dragon lifted its head when it sensed her. Its eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. It looked weak, but when it saw her, something changed in its expression. The sadness softened into something calmer, almost peaceful. Lyra slowly approached. "I brought something," she whispered. The dragon watched her carefully as she removed the bowl of soup from her jacket. She felt silly for a moment. What if the dragon could not eat human food? What if she was doing something completely wrong? But the dragon leaned forward, sniffing the warm soup. Its breath was warm and slow. Lyra placed the bowl on the ground and stepped back to give it space. The dragon lowered its head and gently touched the bowl with its muzzle. Then it began to drink. It moved slowly, almost carefully, as if afraid the food would disappear. Lyra watched in silent relief. The soup was simple, but it was warm and it was something. "You were waiting, weren't you?" she asked softly. The dragon paused and lifted its gaze to her. It did not speak, but it did not need to. She could see the answer in its eyes. Yes. The chains glowed faintly around its legs and wings. Lyra walked closer and studied them again. They were made of strange metal that pulsed with soft light. She could feel energy coming from them, almost like a heartbeat. "Do they hurt you?" she asked. A low rumble came from the dragon's chest, not a growl but a sad sound. The dragon gently tugged its leg and the chains did not move at all. They stayed tight, cold, unbreakable. "I'm sorry," Lyra whispered. The dragon shifted slightly and lowered its massive head closer to her. She could see its scales clearly now. They were beautiful, deep silver with hints of blue, but dull from years of captivity. She wondered how long it had been trapped here in the darkness. She remembered the rumors she had heard. Stories of a beast chained for centuries. Stories no one believed anymore because they sounded too old and too strange. But now she knew they were true. "You've been here a long time," she said. "Too long." The dragon blinked slowly and for a moment, Lyra felt something warm pass between them. A silent understanding. A connection. She sat on the cold floor, keeping a safe distance but close enough to talk. "Why are you chained? Did you do something wrong?" The dragon lifted its head and let out a slow breath. Not angry. Not confused. Just tired. It looked toward the chains again with a deep sadness. Lyra understood. It wasn't trapped because it was dangerous. It was trapped because someone long ago wanted to hide it. She placed a gentle hand on the floor. "I won't tell anyone about you," she said. "They won't understand." The dragon lowered its head and rested it near her. She felt the warm air from its breath. It was comforting, not frightening. "You're not alone anymore," she whispered. The dragon closed its eyes as if remembering a feeling it had lost a long time ago. Trust. Lyra stood up to leave. She knew she could not stay long or people would start asking questions. As she reached the door, she looked back one more time. The dragon watched her with calm, steady eyes. In those eyes she saw something new. Hope. She stepped out of the chamber and closed the door gently. As she walked back up the stairs, she held one thought close to her heart. The dragon had waited for years, for someone to see it, someone to care. Now it waited for her. Lyra could not stop thinking about the glowing chains. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw them pulsing with soft light, wrapped around the dragon's legs and wings like living metal. They looked impossible to break, yet something about them felt strange to her. They reacted when she stood close. They hummed louder when she spoke. It was almost like the chains were watching her too. That morning, while everyone else focused on their tasks, Lyra quietly slipped into the old archive room. The archive smelled of dust and forgotten years. Shelves were filled with old data pads, cracked screens, and papers no one had touched in decades. She turned on a dusty terminal and searched for anything related to Section 9. At first, nothing appeared. The records were hidden under layers of restricted access. But Lyra knew how to slip past old security codes. She used the knowledge she picked up from watching engineers work. After a long search, she found a file with a symbol that looked like the same glowing pattern she saw on the dragon's chains. Her heart began to beat faster. She opened the file. The words on the screen made her breath catch. Project Echo. Emotion-reactive restraints. Designed to respond to trust, fear, and human presence. She read the lines again, slower this time. Emotion-reactive. The chains did not respond to tools or force. They responded to feelings. Lyra stared at the screen in disbelief. She had never heard of technology like this. She scrolled through the rest of the document and found something even more surprising. The chains were created during a time when humans once had a rare ability, an energy that lived inside them, connected to emotions. People used to control energy with their hearts, not machines. But over time that ability disappeared, forgotten like a myth. Lyra leaned back in her chair. Her hands trembled slightly. If the chains were designed to respond to trust, then the reason they glowed when she stood near the dragon wasn't a mistake. It meant something inside her was activating them. She shut off the terminal quickly. Someone could walk in at any moment. She left the archive room and headed back to her quarters, her mind racing with questions. Was she the reason the chains reacted? Did she have the old human ability? Why her? Was the dragon connected to it somehow? She did not have answers, but she knew she needed to see the dragon again. She needed to understand the truth. That night, she carried a warm bowl of soup again and made her way back to the lower stairs. Her steps were quicker this time, but her heart felt heavy with new knowledge. When she reached the chamber door, she placed her hand against it and again, the locks clicked open as if they recognized her. Inside, the dragon lifted its head. It looked stronger today and its eyes seemed brighter. Lyra walked carefully toward it, setting the soup down near its claws. I found something, she said softly. The dragon watched her with calm curiosity. Lyra pointed at the glowing chains. These are not normal chains. They react to feelings. To trust. The dragon blinked as if it understood. I saw the files, she continued. No tool can break them. Only the right emotion can make them change. The dragon lowered its head slowly until its nose was close to her. Its warm breath brushed her hair. It was a gesture of trust. Lyra placed her hand gently on the glowing metal. The chain hummed under her touch. A soft warmth spread through her fingers, like touching sunlight. She felt the dragon's quiet hope. She felt its silent plea. She felt something awaken inside her chest, something gentle but strong. For a moment, the chain pulsed brighter, then dimmed again. It's me, she whispered. The chains react to me. The dragon's eyes softened, full of understanding. It shifted its wings slightly, giving her more access to the chain. Lyra touched the glowing surface again, trying to calm her own heart. She felt nervous, but she also felt a deep wish to help. The chain warmed under her touch, glowing a little brighter. She pulled her hand back in surprise. I can affect it. Not much, but something is happening. The dragon let out a soft breath, like a sigh of relief. But I don't know how to free you, Lyra admitted. Not yet. The dragon nudged her gently with its nose, almost like telling her that it believed she would figure it out. The small contact warmed her heart more than anything she had felt in years. Lyra sat beside the dragon and watched the chain's glow reflect off its scales. She felt small compared to the massive creature, but she also felt safe. She felt connected. She looked up at the dragon. I'll keep trying. I promise. The dragon closed its eyes slowly, trusting her completely. Lyra stayed for a while, talking softly, telling stories about the moon, the stars, and her life above the ground. The dragon listened in calm silence, its tail moving slightly with each word she spoke. When it was time to leave, she stood and looked at the chain one more time. It glowed faintly, like a heartbeat waiting to grow stronger. As she walked back through the dark hallway, Lyra understood something important. The secret of the chains was not about force or strength. It was about connection. If she wanted to free the dragon, she needed to unlock not just the metal chains but also the ancient ability inside her own heart. And the dragon was waiting, patient, hopeful, and no longer alone. Lyra spent the whole day feeling a strange energy inside her chest. It was like a soft warmth that refused to fade, a reminder of the glowing chains and the dragon's calm, trusting eyes. She tried to focus on her work, but her thoughts kept drifting back to the underground chamber. The storm outside the outpost made everything feel more tense than usual. Harsh winds hit the metal walls, and the lights flickered as if the moon itself was shaking. People hurried through the halls, worried about power drops and system failures. No one paid attention to Lyra as she quietly slipped away again. She carried another bowl of warm soup and held it close, afraid the cold air might steal its heat. Her steps were faster this time, driven by something she didn't fully understand. It was not fear. It was not duty. It was something deeper, a feeling that tonight would be different. When she reached the lower stairs, the air felt even colder than the storm outside. She walked down slowly, her footsteps echoing through the lonely corridor. The hallway lights flickered, matching the storm's rhythm above. As she approached the huge metal door, she felt the warmth inside her chest grow stronger. She placed her hand on the door, and the locks clicked open faster than before. It was almost as if the door recognized her now. Inside, the dragon lifted its head. Its eyes were brighter, almost glowing against the darkness. When Lyra stepped in, the dragon breathed softly, and the chains hummed in response. "I'm back," she said, smiling softly. She placed the soup on the ground, and the dragon leaned forward to drink. As it ate, Lyra sat closer than she ever had before. She rested her hand on the glowing chain, feeling its warmth pulse under her palm. "I found more files," she whispered. "They said these chains were made to stop creatures who had strong bonds with humans. They feared your kind would become too close to us." The dragon blinked and lowered its head beside her. It understood. Lyra took a deep breath. "But I think I'm supposed to help you. The chains react when I'm near. I feel something every time I touch them." The dragon moved its wings slightly, offering the chain that wrapped around it. Then something unexpected happened. The chain glowed brighter on its own, as if calling to her. Lyra felt her heart racing. She reached out slowly and placed her hand on the glowing metal. The chain pulsed hard, sending a wave of warmth through her arm. She gasped and almost pulled her hand back, but the dragon gave a soft rumble, gentle, encouraging. Lyra steadied her breathing. She focused on one feeling, her wish to help. The chain warmed more, glowing brighter and brighter. "You're reacting," she whispered. "You're really reacting." Suddenly, the outpost alarm blared through the entire chamber. A loud warning voice echoed across the speakers. "Power spike detected. Section 9, energy surge." Lyra froze. Her heart jumped in fear. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Someone was coming. She looked at the dragon with panic in her eyes. "They'll find you. They'll see the chains reacting." The dragon lowered its head toward her, calm despite the alarm. It gave a soft, deep breath that washed over her like warm air. "No," she whispered. "I can't let them hurt you. I can't let them take you away again." The footsteps grew louder. Lyra placed both her hands on the chain now, her palms glowing faintly from the energy building inside her. She tried to steady her breathing. She focused on the connection she felt, the trust between her and the dragon. The chain pulsed. Her chest grew warm. Her mind grew calm. The metal shifted under her hands, almost melting. Someone was getting closer. Keys jingled. Voices whispered beyond the door. Lyra closed her eyes tightly, pushing away fear. She thought of the dragon's lonely eyes, its quiet hope, its gentle spirit. "I trust you," she whispered. The chain responded. A flash of bright white light filled the chamber. Lyra gasped and opened her eyes. The chain around the dragon's wing had changed. It looked thinner now, cracked, weakened. The dragon stared at her with wide eyes. It had felt it too. But the moment broke when heavy boots stopped outside the chamber door. Someone tried opening it. The 3 locks slammed shut again quickly on their own, as if protecting what was inside. Lyra backed away, her heart racing. "They can't find me here," she whispered. "If they do, they'll take me away, and maybe take you too." The dragon lowered its head and gently pushed her toward the door. A soft, urgent gesture. It wanted her safe. Lyra hesitated. She didn't want to leave. Not now. Not after what happened. "I'll come back," she whispered. "I promise." The dragon watched her with a steady, warm gaze. She felt the promise settle between them, strong and clear. She slipped out through a side duct before the guards could break in, crawling through the narrow metal tunnels until she reached a safe hallway far above. Her heart still beat fast, and her hands shook with leftover energy. The warmth inside her chest had not faded. Everything had changed tonight. The chains were melting. Her hidden ability was awakening. And the dragon believed in her. As Lyra stepped back into the bright halls of the outpost, she knew one thing for certain. The night had brought more than danger. It had brought change. Lyra barely slept. The alarms from the night before kept replaying in her mind, along with the bright flash of light when the chain began to melt under her touch. She felt shaky, but she also felt stronger than ever. Something inside her had awakened. Something ancient. Something powerful. She knew she could not wait any longer. The guards who tried to enter Section 9 would report the strange energy surge. Soon, someone would come to investigate. If they found the dragon, if they noticed the chain weakening, they would panic. They might tighten the restraints or move the creature somewhere even darker. Lyra could not let that happen. When the sunless morning shift began, she walked through the outpost with calm steps and a beating heart. No one looked at her. Everyone was too busy checking systems after the storm. This was her chance. She carried no soup this time. Her hands were empty except for a small piece of cloth tied around her wrist. The dragon had brushed its nose against that cloth once, and she kept it as a reminder of their connection. She hoped it would help her stay calm. She reached the lower stairs and went down with steady steps. The air felt warmer tonight, almost like the chamber recognized her approaching. When she reached the giant door, she did not need to touch it. It unlocked before she even raised her hand. Inside, the dragon stood waiting. It did not lie on the ground like before. It stood tall as much as the chains allowed, its wings half lifted and eyes glowing with calm strength. It knew tonight was important. Lyra stepped inside and closed the door behind her. "I don't have much time," she said softly. "They will come soon. We have to finish this." The dragon lowered its head and gently touched her shoulder. The touch filled her with warmth and courage. Lyra placed her hands on the weakened chain. The crack from last night was still there, glowing faintly. She took a deep breath and focused. This time she did not think about fear. She did not think about the guards or the danger or the alarms. She thought about the dragon. Its long loneliness. Its heavy sadness. Its gentle spirit despite 200 years of chains. Its hope the first time she brought soup. Its trust when it laid its head beside her. Its belief in her. Her heart filled with quiet strength. Warm light pulsed from her palms and into the chain. The dragon closed its eyes and breathed deeply, sending its own warmth back toward her. The energy between them grew stronger, filling the whole chamber with a soft glow. The chain vibrated. The metal softened. A crack spread like lightning. Lyra pushed her hands forward and whispered, "You're free." The chain shattered. A wave of warm air rushed through the room. The dragon opened its wings fully for the first time in centuries. Dust fell from the ceiling as the creature stretched, slow and careful, like waking from a long, painful dream. Lyra stepped back, tears filling her eyes. She watched the dragon lift its head high, proud and strong again. It looked beautiful, alive in a way it had never been while chained. But there was no time to celebrate. Outside the chamber, sirens blared again, real ones this time. Someone had noticed the energy spike from the chain breaking. Heavy boots ran toward Section 9. "They're coming," Lyra said, wiping her tears quickly. "We have to get you out." The dragon turned toward the sealed door. It looked massive and impenetrable, but the creature was no longer weak. It took one strong step forward, spread its wings and released a deep, powerful breath of glowing air. The door shook but did not open. Then Lyra stepped beside the dragon and placed her hand on the metal. The old warmth inside her chest rose again. The dragon placed its claw gently over her hand. Energy flashed. The door exploded outward, showering the hallway with metal and light. Guards froze in place as a giant silver dragon stepped into the corridor, wings fully spread. But instead of attacking, the dragon simply moved forward with Lyra walking beside it, calm and unafraid. "Stop!" a guard shouted. But when the dragon lowered its head toward Lyra protectively, the guards lowered their weapons. They had expected a monster. Instead they saw a bond so strong that it silenced their fear. The commander stepped forward, his voice shaking. What is this?" "A living creature," Lyra said softly. "Not a weapon. Not a monster. A friend." The dragon lowered its head and gently nudged her shoulder. The sight shocked everyone. The creature that had been chained for 200 years trusted a human completely. The outpost officers stepped aside slowly, unable to understand how this was possible. No one stopped them as Lyra and the dragon walked toward the upper exit. Outside, the storm had cleared. The sky was wide and quiet. The dragon lifted its wings, looking at the open world as if seeing it for the first time in centuries. Lyra placed a hand on its side. "You're free now," she whispered. The dragon crouched, inviting her onto its back. She climbed up carefully, settling between its shimmering wings. With one powerful motion, the dragon soared into the sky. Wind rushed around them as they rose higher and higher, leaving the outpost behind. Lyra held on tight, laughing and crying at the same time. They flew across the moon's wide plains, heading toward the stars. Below them, people watched in awe, realizing their world had just changed forever. Because a forgotten dragon was free. Because an old bond between dragons and humans had returned. Because one young woman had listened to a lonely cry in the dark. And the bond they shared would not only free a creature, it would free a world.